Greetings, blade lovers. OG Blades back with you once again. And something really unusual, I have to say. This is unusual. I found out about this from Bob DeMarco's Knife Junkie podcast on Sundays, where he goes through knife users, knife makers, interviews them, gives us all kinds of background info, and it runs about an hour or so. They're excellent podcasts if you want to know more about either well-known knife makers or not so well-known knife makers, and a lot of knife users and some folks that work in combatives with knives. And that is one such person we're talking about here. His name is Al Salviti. And he was interviewed about 3 weeks ago on the Knife Junkie podcast. I will make sure you got links to that and some background about Al and Al's Instagram page, etc., etc. We got three knives we're going to talk about today. Really, they're all based on the same sort of low vis. That's what he calls his fixed blades, low vis knives. And this one in particular, I got from Amazon. Two or three other items I got directly from the Regiment Blades website. Let's see if there's Regiment Blades right there. You go there and you can find out more. What do we got? It's a very interesting concept of a knife. And we're going to just pop it out of the box. That's what you get. Nothing fancy. However, let's see, this is made by Fox Knives, I am told. It is coming out of, I think, Fox Knives, Italy, but it could be a Taiwanese kind of a manufacturer. I'll get my facts straight. I'll tell you what I know and what I've learned from the podcast. So this is referred to as a auto lock folder. And not only is the auto lock unusual, but the folder, as you can see, or will see in a minute, is unusual. It's one of those angled knives that you see has been made by not Fox Knives, I'm sorry, is made by K-Bar. And I'll show you those real quick. Apologies if I seem a little disorganized. It's the day after a holiday and I'm kind of getting it together. So here we have the K-Bar offerings that they call the TDI. I'm just showing you these because of the similarity. It's a gun grip sort of a knife, I guess is one way to describe it. You grab the handle and you point it like a pistol. And those are the K-Bar TDI offerings. You're probably familiar with those. Here is something from the Regiment Knives page, the different models you can get. So there is a fixed blade steel. There is a Damascus, fancy one. In Damascus steel, there is the auto lock folder and there is the low vis pro. And there also is the low vis non-metallic, which I'll show you in a moment. So we've got a knife here, which is meant to be held like a pistol. If I straighten my wrist out, you can see that if you know how to punch, then you can use this knife. It is strictly a self-defense style of knife for somebody who has not necessarily taken lessons in Filipino martial arts or Indonesian or Krav Maga. Never mind, I'm not going to pronounce it. The Israeli knife and empty hand defensive art. Regiment Blades was formerly known as Colonel Blades or Colonel Knives, and I believe Colonel Knives is still around. But there has been a conflict as far as patents go and so forth. Al Salviti did the original patent with Colonel Blades on this type of knife. The one that's now being marketed by Colonel Blades is not a double lock. And that's as much as I know. If you watch the podcast that I'll link you to, you can learn more about that whole background. It's over an hour-long interview. You learn about Al's background in learning boxing and martial arts and Seok, Kali. Real interesting, like over 50-year background in the martial arts and training law enforcement and military and the CIA types and so forth. He really has an extensive background and is extremely well studied. So when he developed this, there was a definite purpose in mind. Here is the double lock feature. The reason this knife, being a button lock on the one side, can't close unintentionally is that you've got to slide this button back first. I'll do that. And push that button. Now you can close it. So it's a virtual fixed blade. I know that term has been bandied about a lot. It's a virtual fixed blade. This one truly is, because I don't see how you're going to close it knowing that you've got to slide one button back and push the other one down. And you don't need to close a knife with speed, but you do need to open it with speed. So this will act as a flipper. And it will also function to, this is the method that Al prefers, slap it open. Hard to do on the camera. Slap it open with the other hand, and then it's in the hand. So there is your pistol sort of grip. There are many, many, many videos on Al's Instagram page showing you real world fights, encounters by people on the street and what you can expect if you're not familiar with that. They're gathered from surveillance video, CCTV cameras, and so forth around the world. And they show you how quickly stuff can go down and how a simple knife that all you need to know is how to punch, and you can slash with it this way as well, can be used. And I've got some shredded up paper here. Let's see if I can make some sense of it. It is a sharp knife. It is a sharp enough knife. So you can definitely cut with it. It is from a very humble budget steel, 8CR14 MOV. Okay, and what is 8CRV MOV? Well, Knife Steel Compositions gives us this information. There's the composition, and there is a description. It is a Chinese steel, and it has been used by Benchmade and Spyderco quite a bit. I know some of the budget level Spyderco openers, hole openers are using this steel and may still be. So there's the info on that. Not sure of the hardness, whatnot, but this has one purpose: to be used in a defensive situation. And you know, as I've mentioned in the past, you could use a screwdriver. You could use an unhardened piece of steel if it's a one-time use. And this is certainly not a one-time use knife. Al indicates that he's opened and closed this knife with a slapping technique tens of thousands of times over the course of years, and it has not loosened up. It is drum tight, as we like to say. If it's familiar to you in some respects, this whole forward concept, maybe without the bend to the blade, has been used and designed by Fred Perrin, the French combatives, knife combatives teacher and instructor and combatant in the French military, along with Bastien Cove. So Bastien has designed a lot of knives with the that ring forward as well. They're not all bent like this, but I will show you one just as kind of a source of interest. So not with a hole in it, but with the angled grip, similar to a TDI, but not. This is the Gambler that was designed by Bastian Cove, Bastinelli Knives, sold through Bastinelli Knives. It's VG10. It can be held like a push dagger, but is very handy in the same grip as the auto lock from Regiment. Same grip, no ring. There you have it. Works just the same. As well, I'm not sure. Very often your training and your background will factor in to what your knife preference is. And before you poo-hoo this, if you're inclined to do that, you may want to check one out, and you can get a very inexpensive one by going with the non-metallic version. And this is for non-permissive environments. Looks like it has screws here, doesn't it? Those are plastic. They're holding the scales on. And there's an embedded nut on the other side. Nice and grippy. But this is more or less what the low-vis fixed blade looks like. I don't have the fixed blade version. I thought I'd be better off with the folder, with the double lock, the auto lock rather. But you can see this is pretty much a replica of this. This has kind of a thumb ramp going on here. I found that if I push my thumb forward, it tends to angle the point down just a bit. It's a minor thing, but I like the grip using a full fist that way. And you've got, I mean, you're locked in. What Al shows us is that on the podcast is that if that pinky is right there and the rest of the fingers are there, it's locked in. That ring also helps you withdraw the knife, right? You can picture that. So probably one of the most solid grips on a knife you can get. If you're a traditionalist, if you've studied a lot of martial arts with knives, you may not go for this. It may be too simple. It may feel weird, awkward to you, but it is similar to a push dagger because the push dagger relies on a punch as well. We've got some serrations going on here, and they are very wickedly sharp. What their use might be could be that, you know, if you're in close and you're locking, you can use them, or you can simply use them to cut zip ties or anything that a normal blade may slide off of. Oh yeah, by the way, this can be held in this position, and it can be used this way or forward. And what else have we got going on here? Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think, I mean, this is Al's favorite grip, and it could be because you can swing across as you punch, right? You punch and rip across. I think I prefer this way, and you're going to see a lot of the training sort of videos if you check out the links that I am going to provide to you. We'll get back to the non-metallic version and a trainer in just a moment, but I'll give you some real quick specs. You know, it's going to be hard to measure a knife of this ilk, but 3¼ inch from the tip of the blade to the handle, and overall 6¾ And as far as thicknesses go, it's got a thick handle. You're going to want to hang on to it. So in inches, that handle is, it's not that thick, 0.53. And the blade stock is 0.11, probably going to be 3 millimeters. Let's try that again. 3.1 millimeters. And weight. And the weight is 5.6, we'll call that. And really, for a solidly built folder, that is not a bad weight at all. Steel, again, is 8 CR14 MOV. And before you snub your nose at that, it is really still an effective steel for the purpose. You're not going to be carving stuff every day. You're not going to be whittling. You're not going to be, maybe you will be breaking down boxes with it. I don't know. The main thing with this is to practice. And in terms of practicing, there is the trainer. And the odd thing about the trainer is that it can still be used as an impact weapon. It's just I'm not sure what kind of plastic. It's got a little bit of flex to it. But by using it in this direction, this nubby sort of end to it here can certainly be used to impact. This non-metallic version is actually much more useful than you would think. No edges. You could possibly sharpen it up a little more. It is entirely from G10. Got tiniest, it's pretty rigid, got a little bit of flex to it. But this guy, there are videos on Al's website of him punching through steel trash cans and ripping through dummies and whatnot. It's very effective. So with this being our lineup, with the missing one item, which would be the fixed blade live model, steel model, I consider this to be live, really. You know, I don't have anything to demo it on here, but again, that point is wicked. You can see the fibers in there in the G10. It is a fiber, or whatever you want to call it, reinforced, similar to fiberglass, but not fiberglass. It's G10. I'm not a chemist with regards to plastics, so you'll have to just use that much information, and you can probably find out a bit more on Regiment. There's the logo. We've got a little jimping going on here. It feels just as locked in as the folder. And it comes with, if I didn't show you the sheath here somewhere, okay. It does come with a sheath, and it fits a little strangely in the sheath, maybe because you can pull it out that way. I'm not sure. The attachment it comes with is a paracord, pretty thick, heavy paracord. Usually what we do with these is wrap that around the belt and loop it through, cinch it up tight. This goes in the pocket, and when you pull it out of the pocket, then the static cord pulls the sheath off. Obviously, the other method would be you could carry that around the neck. I don't carry any neck knives, and if I do, I make sure they got a ball chain section that will break away with enough pressure, because you don't want something around your neck that can be used as a noose to choke you with. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily carry this around the neck. Al has said he's carried this into non-permissive environments. It has gone through metal detection and nothing shows up. It is 0 footprint. And that's very cool. You might be the type of guy who likes more of the fixed blade. In that case, definitely order up a fixed blade or consider looking into it. Back to this guy again. As I said, it's made by Fox Knives. It is extremely well made. The double lock is extremely secure. There's not a lot of movement to open it. It's really only about a 90-degree throw on that lockup. So it's a quick opener, whether you're using that way, and you may not like it because it's a little awkward to get your finger over the top, or not. But the method Al shows again is to brush it with your hand like that. And then it's gripped. The clip, interestingly enough, comes mounted on the left side of the knife, and there is a provision to mount it on the right side of the knife. If we call that, yeah, that would be the right side. Carrying it this way down in the pocket, it's going to come out of your pocket this way, and really your hand's in the way of opening it. So I find that just a little strange. I could be off, but if I'm going to carry this regularly as a right-hander, I would put the clip on that side. Also could be that he set this up as a offhand or left-hand opener because the right hand would be used by law enforcement for their pistol, their service sidearm. That could be the reason. But if we put it on this side and it goes in the right pocket, then the blade is going to be traditional for point-up carry. It's going to be facing back. And then you would pull it out of the pocket and you'd be able to use your left hand to open it this way, or your right finger to flip it open. That's what I'll do if I end up carrying this on a regular basis. I haven't yet. I've had this a couple weeks now, as I said, my own purchase on Amazon. And they're going for about 94 bucks. The trainer, I think you can get a deal from Al's Regiment Knives Blades on the trainer. It was only about $8 if I ordered a couple other things, and I did get the non-metallic version from Regiment Blades as well. And I do have a interesting tactical pen with a ring on the end, and I thought I'd save that for another video rather than include the pen with these three. But excellent choices here if you want a very basic and fundamentally usable approach to knife tactics for defensive purpose. Well, that's what I got to say about this, and it is extremely interesting. Look into it if you've got an interest, and you should find all the links down below this review in the description. Be well, take care, see you soon.